Welcome to Keiser Voices, the story of success, brought to you by Keiser University Graduate School, here where the academic world meets personal triumph. Join us today as we dive into the captivating tales of success.
Welcome back, everybody, as we continue our conversation celebrating Black History Month. We're excited to have joining us our special guest today, Mr. John Scott, or I should say soon to be Dr. Scott. John Scott is one of our PhD in industrial and organizational psychology students, and we're so excited to have him connect with us from Jacksonville. How are you doing, Mr. Scott?
Well, I'm doing well. Definitely we're looking forward to this morning podcast session, especially for the event that we're going to cover, Black History Month.
So can you share a personal story or an experience that highlights the importance of recognizing Black History Month for you?
Well, growing up in New York City, recognizing the leaders in a particular period, I will say that one thing that comes to mind is my graduation back in 1989. Our guest speaker at the time was Mr. David Dinkins, who became the 106th mayor of the city of New York from 1990 to 1993. Unfortunately, Mr. Dinkins passed away in November 23rd, 2023. One of his quotes that stuck with me was when he mentioned, well, I think that I'm very lucky, thinking I'm a very lucky person, and I'm very fortunate. One of the things that also stuck to me is this other quote that says, you can be whatever you want to be. Resonated with me. It meant for me to go out and achieve things greater than I could possibly imagine.
I love that. No limitations for what is out there available for you to do. So how do you think Black History Month contributes to our understanding and appreciation of diversity and inclusion in society?
Well, I think Black History Month is not only about our skin color, but what it represents to me is honoring those figures who have gone before us and made an impact in American society. For me, serving in the United States Navy, I had the privilege of serving as in a leadership role where I had a group of diverse sailors. The important thing about it is, although there were many challenges, we were able to set our differences aside to the virtue of knowing we belong in an organization who stood for the rights and freedom of Americans.
Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you so much.
So based on, your experience, and I know that with your choosing to major in industrial and organizational psychology, you really kind of look at the businesses and the flow of them. In your opinion, what are some effective ways that we can engage with and honor this month, both, personally within your community or even in your place of employment?
Well, number one, some of the things that come to mind in answering your question, life stories behind the movie Hidden Figures, for example. To me, the characters of Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson, who helped launch Mr. John Glenn into orbit. In our communities, I think we need to empower our youth to reach their dreams and full potentials and never lose the edge of overcoming adversity.
No, that's amazing. And that is actually one of my favorite stories. And now there's even another one that just recently came out. And I know I'm going to mess up the movie title, but I think it was 8666.
It was the 6888. That's correct.
6888. There we go. I was close. And we're learning these stories that we've never heard before, and it's sad. These were major moments in history in general.
Yes.
That for the most part we didn't get to hear about them because, like you said, it went back to skin color.
I can tell you that just the sheer fact that Major Shirley Adams, who led the 8666, the 6888, inspired me, not knowing about the story behind what these women were able to accomplish in World War II. to just overcome the sheer adversities that they shared, the discrimination and just kind of looking forward and looking past the color to the impact they made in our Army during that period of time. Definitely resonate with me. Another movie that I would like to share with you is the story about Carl Bashir, who was the first master diver in the United States Navy. Again, adversity, strength, resilience are kind of the virtues that empower us as a society, I would say, to reach for greater good. For me personally, having served in the Navy, I can tell you that it's very challenging and it's very demanding, the pressure that we are put and encountered throughout our service. So to the people who have served, to those past and present, I say a job well done for those who have served.
I'm right there with you. I don't think we do enough to appreciate our military. So I think you'll be enjoying, before this episode airs, we interviewed a Purple Heart recipient who is making tremendous impact in the community, that we got to celebrate him and interview him for part of Black History Month. So we're definitely hearing more of these stories of individuals, both military making humongous impact, and he shared a couple stories with us, as well as just historically. We're hearing these stories that we haven't had the opportunity to hear before. So I'm glad that they're finally getting shared. Are there any other historical figures or events during Black History Month that have inspired you or even changed your perspective?
I came to the United States in 1985 from Panama City, Panama. So I'm very fluent in Spanish, by the way. And the things that kind of took me by surprise was the diversity as far as how one race will treat another race. And that kind of was something that I'd never experienced before. So, Black History Month, learning the figures that have impacted our American culture, has led me to not only appreciate our accomplishments throughout the years, but also the impact that we have had on not only Black Americans, but as a whole, Americans. I don't think our stories are told enough, and it's kind of funny that through movies or storytelling, we kind of hear about these great accomplishments that our African American leaders have been able to accomplish.
It is sad to some degree that we are just now learning about what history has forgotten. Because there's stories like 6888. You have stories like Hidden Figures, but there's also other individuals of other different cultural backgrounds that at the time they were forgotten about. And they should be told. There's stories that should be shared, accomplishments that should be made. If you take a look at Barbie and the Mattel industry, Barbie was modeled off of a very specific person. And then you see the evolution of Barbie over the years because it became, and same with the American Doll, they have a similar journey for them as well, historically, where not everybody can identify with that journey or that path. So while American Doll does a great job of talking about history and painting a future, Barbie does a great job of saying you can dream as big as you can dream. There's another part of the equation that is a lived experience that not everybody can experience, and not everybody knows or struggles with or have to overcome. I mean, we all have different aspects of our journeys, and we'll see this too when we talk about Women History Month in March. There's different things that everyone has to overcome to get to where they are, and it's those stories that are truly meaningful. Is it sad some of those stories, it takes so long to come out? Like 100%, absolutely. But the fact that they're coming out and being shared, I think, is what's most important. That we're not forgetting those lessons, if that makes sense.
I agree. I totally agree with you. Again, I think our society is moving in the right direction, number one. And I think with the strides that have been made in the past and continue to make throughout our society here in America and throughout the world, I will say that we need to keep the history of Black Americans as a focal point during Black History Month. Um, Again, I've worked for many leaders in the past, people that I've looked up to and kind of shaped the person who I am, and particularly my mother. Okay, we always resonate with a mother and what a mother has brought to the table, and kind of instilling those attributes that make us who we are. And for me, just kind of following those dreams as to aspire to become in my family, perhaps the first person who will earn a degree of a doctorate of psychology and industrial psychology. So my family is 100% behind me. My friends are totally rooting for me, and for myself, it's just a dream that I've made a promise to my mother that I will fulfill. So Black History Month is not just about our skin color, but actually about the accomplishments not only of Black individuals, but throughout the world. I mean, Black, white, Hispanic, you name it. For me, the other special occasion was when we had our first Hispanic Master Chief Pedestrian of the Navy, Joe Campa. I mean, again, the story goes on and on about diversity and what it means to our community. I think that we don't give enough credit to the people who deserve the credit. I don't believe that we are teaching what we need to teach our youth when it comes to Black History Month. Again, we do have a lot of important figures that have made a difference in our world. And I just want to be part of that as well, when they become part of that. So definitely, I would say that striving for what we have dreamt or what we continue to dream certainly inspires me to share my experiences with the public. Just mentoring. I mean, this is just something that comes from me. Other veterans that may have gone through different experiences that I can resonate and help them out along the way is really what makes it satisfying for me.
That's amazing. And you are, whether you realize it or not, a role model in and of yourself, immigrating to the US, starting over to some degree. It doesn't matter whether we're talking Hispanic Heritage Month or Black History Month, like that is a journey in and of itself. And then growing up and looking to do better and be an example and inspiring you more. I mean, that's amazing. Can I ask a little bit more about your experience in the Navy?
Sure. I served for 24 years and 6 months. Over that course of time, or that period of time, I made 16 major deployments. I spent 16 years out of the 24 at sea, which means I spent most part of my life, my journey in the Navy, being on deployments. So a little thing that we call Old Navy salty dog, so to speak, is that you cruise the world, you go over the international date timeline, and you also go across the equator, which becomes what we call shellbacks. But in a sense, the pride that I feel about my service is that I got to see the world before 2001, where the Navy or the service was a fun place to be. Unfortunately, we had the 2001 events. It kind of changed how we viewed ourselves as Americans, where I think the reality was that we were not as secure as we thought we were. Certain incidents throughout the world, like the bombing of one of our ships, and I don't want to get the incident wrong, but it happened in Yemen in one of our ships, and I cannot think right now the name of the ship. But again, not being overprotective and kind of letting our guards down is kind of something that led me to train people trained sailors in the Navy. My rate as a damage controlman was to teach the crew how to fight the ship. What that means is, in the event of emergency, whether it'll be a damage to the ship, a damage to some of the equipment on the ship, we were like the first responders on the ship. So what that meant for me is you train the way you fight and you fight the way you train. So the respect that I gained from sailors, the respect that I gained from my superiors, the respect that I gained from my peers, kind of led me to where I felt the need to continue with that. This degree definitely solidifies that. It kind of puts it into a whole. From my associate's degree in general science to my master's in leadership and now psychology. So in a nutshell, I just feel that I can be a productive member to society by helping others. That really is what it's about to me when I joined the Navy.
What are you looking to do, given all your experience, the deployments, the years in the Navy, the background of yourself that you have shared with us? What are you hoping to do once you achieved your doctorate?
Number one, I'll take a break.
A well-deserved one at that.
Yes. I mean, I've been going at this again, starting very, very early with my associates in 2016. So I've been in school since 2016 up to present times. It's been a long time coming. But what I intend to do with my degree is really reach out to the community, to the University of Jacksonville, Jacksonville University here in Jacksonville, and become part of that faculty in teaching undergrads or graduate classmen the importance of leadership. I think the other aspect of my degree is that I can share stories as to how to overcome and how to psychologically deal with certain aspect of the workplace. Again, we all work we work in an industry where sometimes we have to kind of watch what we say, so to speak. And I think that created some friction among coworkers. So the degree itself is a stepping stone, but really, educating, counseling, helping others overcome whatever adversities they have experienced in life.
And before we let you go, I have one last question for you. As we look at Black History Month, how can individuals celebrate it?
Okay. How can an individual celebrate Black history? I would say that they definitely need to go back and kind of read or kind of research some of the accomplishments that, again, African Americans have made in the United States. Inspire others to achieve greater things. Maintain a sense of pride about what we are and what we have been able to accomplish. Support other causes, not only our own. I think Black History Month is kind of intertwines all of these things, making sure that we don't look at ourselves as being superior to another. Sympathizing with other races, with other cultures. I think that's kind of what Black history signifies to me, to where, we're not looking at, again, one color, because I think the human race is the actual color that we should be thinking about. So to make everybody feel comfortable to who they are and who they want to be.
Amazing. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your journey and your perspectives. We really appreciate you being on the podcast with us this month.
Well, I'm looking forward to another session of this podcast.
Thank you all for connecting and joining with us today as we continue to explore and celebrate Black History Month. If you've enjoyed this podcast, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow to stay tuned as we continue this conversation for the rest of the month of February. Until next time, we hope to see you again.
Thank you for journeying with us today on Keiser Voices, the Story of Success. As we close this chapter, remember, every story has its next page.